The 2024 Australian Open's women's draw is loaded with talented players and unbelievable first-round popcorn matches. I'm going to break down the draw and ultimately predict who I think will take home the Daphne Ackhurst Memorial Cup. World number 1 Iga Swiatek has an interesting path to her 5th major title, opening against 2020 Aussie Open champ Sofia Kenin. The Pole could then play 2022 runner-up Danielle Collins before potentially meeting Maria Boskova in round 3, Veronika Kudermetova in the 4th, Marketa Vondrousova in the quarters, Elena Rybakina in the semis, and Sabalenka in the finals. Swiatek is playing incredible tennis at the moment and is currently riding a 16-match win streak. Caroline Garcia is actually the only woman to even claim a set over the Pole in that whole winning streak span, but she's in the bottom half, so Iga will be happy with that. But in all seriousness, this draw does look difficult on paper. Kenin is a Grand Slam champion, and when she's on, she can be very difficult to beat. Last season, she took down Sabalenka and Coco Gauff in the Wimbledon first round. I do really feel bad for Kenin. Somebody made the joke that Craig Tiley is serving the American payback for beating Barty at the 2020 Australian Open semifinals, because in 2022 she drew her compatriot Madison Keys, who went on to make the semifinals, and then last year she played Vika, who also made the Final Four. So if the pattern continues, Swiatek will fall in the semifinals this year. Being serious, Kenin is not near her slam winning level, but still, being ranked 38th in the world, she narrowly could have been a seed in this tournament. Sonia made some positive strides towards the end of last season, but the American has had a disappointing start to her 2024, losing early in both Brisbane and Hobart to lower ranked Australians. I do not expect Iga to be challenged too much in that match. Right below Swiatek Kenin is another mouth-watering first round match between 2016 champion Angelique Kerber and 2022 finalist Danielle Collins. These two played here in 2019, where Collins kicked Kerber to the curb with a 6-love, 6-2 win. This is Kerber's second tournament since giving birth to her daughter in February last year, and she looked okay in the United Cup. She only claimed 1 out of her 5 matches played though. Collins, meanwhile, is trying to put back together the pieces after a dismal 2023 season that saw her go from number 14th at the beginning of the year to outside the top 50 by its conclusion. I expect this match to be a 3-set brawl, but regardless of who wins, I think Iga will come through in that second rounder. Iga will likely want to play Angie more, as she dominated the German in the United Cup finals. Meanwhile, Collins took down the Pole in the Aussie Open semis 2 years ago and has more weapons to trouble Swiatek. Looking a little bit further down, we have another underrated popcorn matchup between Czechs Lena Noskova and Maria Boskova. 19-year-old Noskova has some good form coming into this tournament, reaching the Brisbane 500 semifinals, so I think that she can pull off the upset. Auckland finalist Elina Svitolina is right below them and is projected to face Veronika Kudermetova in round 4. Both Svitolina and Kudermetova beat Iga in the second half of 2023, so that's something to keep an eye out for if they do play her in the 4th round. I would back Svitolina to play the Pole, as she's coming into this event with more confidence, reaching the Auckland final where she pushed Coco Gauff pretty hard. Kudermetova notoriously performs poorly at the majors, so I wouldn't even be surprised if she lost to Siniakova in that 3rd round. All in all, this is a very tough draw for Iga on paper, but with how well she's been playing at the moment, I still think that she'll be okay to weather the storm and make the Elite 8 in Melbourne. Iga's biggest pain in her behind, Jelena Ostapenko, is at the top of Marketa Vondrousova's section, and we could see a spicy rematch of the Brisbane quarters between the Latvian and Vika Azarenka. Azarenka has won this thing twice, and she tends to play her best tennis in Melbourne, but she has a tough opener in the unpredictable yet immensely talented Camila Giorgi. Minus Burrell, that entire half is full of solid players like Petra Martic, Ayla Tomljanovic, and Clara Tauson. Honestly, Ostapenko should come through, as she's playing excellent right now and is currently in the finals of Adelaide. The lower part of the section is less exciting, far less exciting might I add. Rankings riser Emma Navarro, who is also in the final right now in Hobart, is seeded for the first time in a slam, and she could face Marketa Vondrousova in the 3rd round. Vondrousova to me is not a big title contender, but she is solid and she has a decent draw. I could see her sneak through to make another deep run in the majors, where she tends to excel. Because her little section looks a bit more kind, I will go ahead and have Vondrousova make the quarterfinals, but really any of these other seeds have a solid shot at progressing as well. Last year's finalist Elena Rybakina has an interesting opener in former world number 1 Karolina Pliskova, and she could then play Anna Blinkova in round 2, Jasmine Paolini in the 3rd round, Daria Kasatkina in the 4th, Jessica Pegula in the quarters, Iga in the semis, and Arna in the final. Obviously, the big matchup in this section is Rybakina Pliskova. Rybakina is coming into this tournament as a strong title favorite after she clobbered Sabalenka in the Brisbane 500 final. Pliskova also performed well in Brisbane, beating Naomi Osaka before falling to Yelena Ostapenko. Still, the Czech is not playing at a consistently high level, as she recently lost 6-2, 6-1 to Katerina Siniakova in Adelaide. Pliskova is fully capable of pulling off the upset, but right now I think it's too much of an ask with how solid Rybakina is playing right now. 26 seed Jasmine Paolini is a potential threat in round 3, as the 28-year-old Italian has had some very impressive results as of late. Jasmine has a tricky opener in young Russian Diana Schneider, who nearly eliminated Maria Sakkari here last season. 14th seed Daria Kasatkina has a bit of a challenging draw, opening against talented American Peyton Stearns before potentially getting Sloane Stephens next. I don't want to skip over Anna Kalinskaya though, who could shake things up a bit down there. The Russian beat Krejcikova in Adelaide and nearly took down Kasatkina too, so look out for her possibly to make some noise. I honestly really want to pick Paolini to come through and cause some havoc, but I'll still stick with the safe bet and have Rybakina prevail in this section. 5th seed Jessica Pegula rounds out this top half, and she has a solid draw overall. At the top, 12th seed Chen Wen-jing doesn't have an easy out, with rising American star Ashton Kruger being her first round opponent. Then potentially Katie Boulter in round 2, who is playing incredibly right now, as she beat Pegula in the United Cup. Yu Wan is on the come up, and then Emma Raducanu is there, making her slam return against Shelby Rogers. I was impressed with what I saw from Emma in Auckland. She took her to Svitolina, the eventual runner-up, and showed some of the form that's earned her that US Open title in 2021. Raducanu has a decent shot to win a few rounds, but the biggest question is whether her body will hold up. In the bottom part, Jessica Pegula could face Lin Zhu-Zhu-Pet in the 3rd round, who upset Sakkari here last year. Pegula did withdraw from the Adelaide semifinals, citing gastrointestinal illness, but she likely just wanted to save herself for a deep run in Melbourne, which I think she will have. Speaking of Sakkari, the 8th seed looked good in the United Cup, winning all 3 of her matches there in straight sets. She also has a good draw in Melbourne, but Sakkari has a bit of a mental block right now in the majors. The Greek woman is on a 4-match losing streak in slams, and she hasn't made a slam second week in 2 years. Her biggest threat lies in the 3rd round, where either Marta Kostyuk or Lisa Mertens can take her down. We haven't seen much of Dane Caroline Wozniacki since her run to the US Open second week last year. She played 1 match since at Auckland, where she lost to Svitolina in round 1. This is Woz's first time playing in Melbourne since her first retirement in 2020. If Carol were to get a seed in round 1, Magna Linette is a good one. The Pole reached the semifinals here last year, but this match is very winnable for the former champ Wozniacki. This is a very opportunistic section, as I'm not that confident in Beatrice Haddad-Maia or Maria Sakkari making the 4th round. Bia opens against 18-year-old Czech Linda Fruhvirtova and could then play last year's Aussie Open Girls champion Elena Korneva, who came through qualifying. This is going to be a gamble, but I'm choosing Wozniacki to progress to the quarterfinals. Reigning US Open champion Coco Gauff will start against Anna Schmiedlova and could then be compatriot Caroline Dolehide in round 2, Leylah Fernandez in round 3, Caroline Garcia in round 4, Sakkari in the quarters, Sabalenka in the semifinals, and Iga in the final. This is a decent draw for the Auckland champ Gauff. Schmiedlova is solid, and Fernandez round 3 could be interesting, but Coco is an expert at this point at beating players below her skill level. Shout out to Alicia Parks also, who could play Coco in the 3rd round too, but I'm not so sure about that. The big matchup, of course, is at the top with Osaka and Garcia. These two played here in 2021, Naomi taking care of Caroline comfortably in straight sets. But these two are at very different points in their career right now. Naomi is coming back from extended time away from the sport, while Garcia is rebuilding after a pretty difficult 2023 season. Although Naomi looks solid and surely has the game to take down Garcia, I will give the French woman the edge there. Garcia simply has more match reps at the moment, and while Osaka looked excellent game-wise in Brisbane, she let a lot of big opportunities slip by against Pliskova, which mostly comes down to not playing a lot of matches. It's also nearly been 2 years now since Osaka last won a match at a major, so that might play a role too. This one can truly go either way though, and I wouldn't be surprised if Naomi did indeed prevail. That 4th rounder is likely to be a tricky one for Gauff any way you spin it. Both Anastasia Potapova and Caroline Garcia beat the American twice the last time they played her, and then Naomi is Naomi. Unfortunately, I just have a bad feeling that Caroline Garcia is ready to peak again in this major, and I'll have her take down both my sisters. and Naomi and Coco to make the quarterfinals. Next, looking at Ons Jabeur's section, I think we could see a surprise quarterfinalist here. The top seeds Jabeur and Krejcikova do not have good form at the moment, and I don't consider either woman to be a serious title contender in this slam. Ons has not played a match yet this season, and 16-year-old phenom Mira Andreeva has a solid shot at beating her if they do play in the second round. I could see an all-Russian fourth-round affair between Andreeva and Ekaterina Alexandrova, the former recently getting a good win over Rybakina in Adelaide. Alexandrova doesn't have the best track record in slams though, while Andreeva tends to excel in the bigger stages and against her own countrywoman. For that reason, I'm putting the youngster through to make the Elite Eight. Finally, Aryna Sabalenka will open her title defense against 18-year-old German qualifier Ella Scheidel. She could then meet Anna Bogdan in round 2, Lesia Sarenko in the third, Ludmila Samsonova in the fourth, Jabeur in the quarters, Gauff in the semifinals, and Swiatek in the final. I don't see anyone troubling Sabalenka at all in the first week. Aryna played solid in Brisbane. She got a couple of good wins over the likes of Azarenka and Kasatkina, but she just needs to put that final result in the back of her head. The big question is, how will she handle the pressure of defending her first slam? Aryna has been the it girl though when it comes to the slams recently, as she's made the semis or better at her last 5 major tournaments. Ludmila Samsonova has caused Big Lenka some problems in the past though, so that could be a tough fourth round for her. That being said, Samsung is a bit of a flop in the majors, and she has a tricky opener in Amanda Anisimova, who is on the comeback trail. I honestly think that there's a great chance Sabalenka won't even face a seed in the fourth round. Paula Badosa, Taylor Townsend, and Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova could do some damage in that top part. However, I'm still sending Sabs through to that quarterfinal spot. Going over my predictions really quickly, Swiatek, Pegula, Garcia, and Sabalenka are my 4 semifinalists, and I have Jessie and Aryna facing off in the finals. I'm actually having the American prevail there to win her first major title. I know Pegula is a very random pick, but it's simply a gut feeling with her. It's probably from watching her Breakpoint episode recently, but she's been knocking on the door for a slam breakthrough for a long time now. I think she's 0 for 6 in slam quarterfinals, but I think if she can get over that hump here, she can go all the way. I was close to having Sabalenka take the trophy again, but we all know she's not the biggest pressure player, and defending her first slam is definitely nerve-inducing. Iga really should be the clear title favorite, but I simply don't feel as drawn to her being the champion as I did in tournaments past. Rybakina is another one, but with her fragile body and honestly tough draw, I don't know if we'll see her competing on championship weekend again. Coco Gauff will be happy that she does not have Iga in her section, but as aforementioned, that fourth rounder is where things can get very dicey for the American. Coco's biggest threat here will be a big ball striker who can take advantage of that weaker forehand side. That said, if her serve is firing like it was for most of the Auckland tournament, and if she's steady with the forehand, I can see her take this entire thing. I do have Garcia in her place, who can surely fall to Naomi, another possible title contender. It's just so tough to predict these matches, man. The field is loaded. Staying present with the action, the Aussie Open is starting a day earlier this year, Saturday night Eastern time, to give us 3 days of first round action this year. Defending champion Aryna Sabalenka takes the court on day 1, being joined by Sakkari and Wozniacki. That's all I have for this draw preview, and let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with me having Pegula and Sabalenka in the final, with Jessie taking it all. If not, comment your own predictions for your finalists and eventual champion. Also, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post the men's preview. Thanks for watching. I'm Christian Bassnight, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.